Welcome to the Safe Business Agility Podcast. This is the place to get advice, stories, perspectives, and updates about safe and related topics to help you work differently and build the future. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's about the Safe Expert Program, known as the SPCT program, or the Safe Practice Consultant -T, standing for Transformation Architecture, Trusted Advisor, and Trainer. This is something that my colleague Joe Vallone and I manage on a day-to-day basis. We do our best to shepherd a great community and provide great experiences for those who come through the program. And what we have today is a group of people who are at the end of their SPCT Immersion Week, talking about their experience up to this point, their experience through the week. It's a pretty cool chat. They're amazing humans, and I hope you enjoy the chat with Russell, Renee, and Vanessa. All right, so this is a special week at Scaled Agile. Every quarter, we do an SPCT Immersion Week. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, SPCT stands for Safe Practice Consultant with Validated T-shaped Skills, SPCT, so Safe Transformation Architecture, Safe Trusted Advisor, and Safe Trainer. And if you've ever checked out the journey or have been a part of it, you know that it's not trivial. It takes a lot to get to Immersion Week. It takes a lot to get through the program. And then it takes a lot to maintain your credentials once you're validated. And we've gotten some pretty good kudos. Myself and my colleague Joe Vallone are responsible for the expert programs here at Scaled Agile, which are the SPCT, Safe Fellow, and a few other things. And we got some pretty good kudos. Gartner, kind of made mention that, hey, with any credential, you need to go out there, you need to do your research. It validates a baseline level of understanding, but not necessarily expertise, with a notable exception being the SPCT program. And Joe and I do a lot of work to make sure that the folks coming into the program have the right skills, the right experience, and the right candor to really represent our brand, the Scaled Agile brand, in the market. The reality is, the closest that most people will ever get to interacting with Scaled Agile or with a fellow or with the framework team is to interact with an SPCT. So we need to make sure that when these folks go in the market, that they're prepared to represent the organization, the framework, the intent of the framework, and all of the IP as if you were speaking to one of us. So we do a lot to make sure that the quality is there. We need to make sure that we're protecting our community. And I'm sitting with three folks today who have very different journeys in the SPCT program. We're just completing Immersion Week, which is what takes place following an interview. And when you're invited to come, begin your journey through the program, we bring you to Boulder, Colorado. We do now. We did before. We hadn't for 3 years because of that little thing that was taking place called COVID. But we're back in Boulder. And it's where we really teach people how to deliver our content as we would deliver it. And also we give them some good feedback, right? We give them actionable feedback on their training skills, their presentation skills, and their consulting skills as part of this immersive week. So with me today, I've got Vanessa, Renee, and Russell. And I'm not going to tell their stories. I'm going to let them tell their stories, starting with Vanessa. Vanessa, welcome to Boulder.
Thank you, Adam. I'm Vanessa Martins. I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. My Agile journey started in 2017. I did my SPC with Dean in Munich. And prior to that, I have a kind of unusual background. I'm a psychologist and spent many years as a change lead on large organizational implementations in very painful waterfall process. And so that first SPC fundamentally changed my approach to the way we could do things. And from there, I went and implemented what I learned in my business at the time, and then started running an Agile coaching and training company. I have 12 amazing people that work with me, and I've absolutely loved it. I've been part of quite a few transformations already. And then just a little bit about me and this journey. I have 2 wonderful children, and I must say this week has been transformational for me. I've learned so much. You realize you're completely at another level here, and it's been incredible to be part of it.
Thanks, Vanessa. Renee, what about you?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. So this is Renee Hussong speaking. I'm from Kigon, Germany. Originally, I studied computer science and computational biology, and then headed for quite some time for academic career, just to figure out that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So what I really wanted to do is to interact with people, and this is what I'm really passionate about. So therefore, getting agile coach, doing transformations, being a consultant, being always in touch with people. This is what I really love to do. And yeah, in the last years, I spent quite some time in automotive industry, but also in energy, in insurance companies, and so on. So as Vanessa already said, I can just echo that. This week here, this was really transformational. It was extremely exciting. We were all very good prepared before we came here to Boulder. And it's really great that we found some new friends here, I would say.
Great. Thanks, Renee. Russell, will you wrap us up?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. My name is Russell Andrews. I'm from Wellington, New Zealand. I have a background in large program delivery, and I'd reached the point where I was experiencing the same problems over and over again. And I thought to myself, there had to be a better way. And about 2016, I was introduced to the SAFE framework. And yeah, some very smart people had thought of a better way. It really resonated with me. I had the opportunity to work as an RTE and be trained as an SPC, and then work on a few large transformations and do a lot of training. My passion really is helping people get to a better place, both organizationally and individually. And it's great working in this field and being able to do that. It's certainly a lot of hard work to get to this Immersion Week, and it's a lot of hard work during the Immersion Week, and there'll be a lot of hard work after the Immersion Week. It is so rewarding, and I think, as the others have said, it's taking us to the next level, and really, really we're seeing how we can grow and develop from here and commit ourselves to lifelong learning.
Great. Thanks, Russell. So what I want to kind of point out is that there's a little bit of difference between the three of you. So Vanessa and Renee, you come from consulting partners, and your perspective from the SPCT is that you're going to go out and help many organizations achieve their goals. And Russell, yours is a little bit different because you're an internal change agent. You work for a government agency. So for you, why was this something that you wanted to pursue? Why did you think it was important for your career as a civil servant to come here to learn all of these things and to go through this journey? Basically, what's in it for you and what's in it for your agency?
Yeah, so for me, it's the opportunity to bring more skills to an environment which is traditionally quite resistant to this sort of change and quite often to this way of working. For the organization itself, it's an opportunity for us to bring some of our training internally. And really, really big organizations like this are a lot like a consulting market. Internally within the ministry in which I work, we operate a lot like an internal consultancy, which is that we're exploring different areas that are at different levels of their journey. We're looking at where we can add the most value. We're trying to maintain our own group of people and our own skill set and enhance that, and also help the skill set of different areas of the organization. So it's almost like a market of its own.
Without the added pressure of chargeability targets and things like that.
Exactly right.
So for the alternative perspective, Vanessa, where you serve, where you work in South Africa, it's largely an emerging market for transformative ways of working. So for you, you do have a lot of great experience. For you, what made this whole program and the journey something you wanted to take on?
It's an interesting market in that you look at it, and many companies are kind of new to the scaled agile framework or transformation, but it's really started to ramp up. What was something we were discussing with a few bigger companies a few years ago has become something everybody's doing. And there just aren't enough skills in the market. So I'm usually on 3 clients at any point in time, running quite a few different teams at any point in time. And what's excited me about the SPCT journey and what is available here is the opportunity to really improve how we run these transformations. I've found we've been running so hard for the last few years that we haven't stopped and really tried to think about how we could get this to an even better level for the organizations we deal with. So what I'm hoping to do is take what I learn here, both from this experience and from what's coming next, and start to improve the way we run transformations for some of the businesses we're with.
Excellent. So I think we've talked a few times about the journey, right? And I think it's worth noting that from application to actually receiving your SPCT credential is anywhere from 18 to 24 months on average, right? So it's not a trivial journey. It's not a check the box certification program. It really is focused on both validation of skills and experience and also developing skills and experience. And it's very competitive, right? It's not something that everyone is selected for, and it's largely because of capacity, right? So the program is run by Joe and I, and we've got 6 other folks who help us out. And with that, with the amount of time that we spend with each individual person in the process of putting together these cohorts, right? I mean, we just have bandwidth limitations. And it is competitive because the folks that come to this, right, they're among the most experienced in the world. So we have a hard job of figuring out who we invite and why. And, there's some folks that just for the luck of the draw might not get an invitation, and we encourage resilience. And I'm looking across the table at Renee because, there's the common reaction to not being accepted is to feel rejected, is to feel bad, is to question a lot of things. And we have a lot of hard conversations. But Renee, through no fault of his own, he interviewed 3 times and he remained resilient and he remained driven. So Renee, can you kind of talk us through, your interview process and what was that was like and what it was like for you emotionally and kind of what you learned, I guess, across all 3 of those interviews?
Yeah, sure. So this has been really emotional roller coaster, I would say. So taking this journey, and as you said, I've been interviewed, I think in total 3 or 4 times, and getting the rejection. I would not really say the rejection. Yeah, it was like, hey, this time you will be not in the cohort, but seeing this email again and again, and didn't really know, okay, where is actually the point where I can improve? So what is actually the button that I need to hit? That was really challenging for me. Yeah? Because, of course, I reached out to all my interview partners and I always got very good feedback. So I have been pretty sure that this is actually not the point and this is not the problem. So therefore, I reached out to Adam in person and I asked him, hey, Adam, is this something that I can actually do? Yeah. And what about the process? And then I realized, hey, this is actually not like they don't want you. Yeah. So, or it has nothing to do with my performance. It's just that there are so many people applying for this and they need to take a selection. And sometimes you can have bad luck. Sometimes you can have good luck. So therefore, I can just encourage you folks outside there. If you got rejected for one time, just be patient, be humble, and try to do the best to get in. Yeah. What definitely helps is, of course, to have a differentiator. Yeah. So really to make it clear, okay, why should you, in particular, you be on this cohort? Yeah. What makes you different among all the folks that are out there? And in the end, I would say this really made me stronger, although it was some kind also a little bit disappointing within that time.
Sure. So thank you for sharing that, Renee. So let's talk about the process a little bit and kind of what you all have experienced this week. So to begin the process of becoming an SPCT, it starts with nomination, right? So someone from your sponsoring organization, whether it's an enterprise or a consulting partner, has to say, hey, we stand behind this person. We want to sponsor them on this journey because it's not individual, it's joint. To be an SPCT, you need to either work for a validated consulting partner or a gold partner, or you need to work with an enterprise that has made a commitment to working in this way. So that's kind of step one. And then step two is, do you meet the baseline nomination requirements? And then from there, there's the joy of filling out the application packet and the supporting artifacts. So Vanessa, do you want to kind of talk us through your experience on the front end of all of this before Immersion Week, kind of what your perceptions were and what your experience was like through that initial application process?
It was long and hard. So the first thing I did, which was very practical, was just write down everything I needed to do. And I made a list, an Excel spreadsheet I tracked on an ongoing basis around what did I still need to get done, because there is a long list of things that need to get done. Some of those much easier than others. You've probably done the training already, so you just need to consolidate the scores. But you need letters from people that are going to support you from your clients that say you've done a good job. And actually, I think that's a great thing. I think some of the requests were very fair. You need to show that you've done the right work in the client and actually prove it with photos, with evidence of things that you've done. And I think that's a really reasonable ask and a good thing to put forward. But there's also a lot of admin back there. Book reviews. I just kept writing more book reviews. It felt a little bit like school, but it was good. And so it was a long journey. It was a lot of admin, but keeping track of it and keeping on top of it is probably what I'd recommend the most. And then Adam, you were very helpful when I had a question or I was frustrated or I wasn't quite sure what needed to happen next. So I think just checking that you're still on the right track and doing the right things is important.
I think somebody wrote something somewhere about communication, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, they did. I think communication at 11 at night was very nice of you.
Yeah, that's a problem I have. I don't set down the phone. That's probably a different conversation for your psychologist hat, but nonetheless. Russell, so after you've applied, right, the next step is preparing for the interview, right? So what was your experience like with that? What did you expect when you got that note that said, all right, now it's time to schedule the interview? How did you prepare? What was your interview experience like?
So there was a level of guidance. Obviously, I tapped into an existing SPCT that I had a relationship with and talked to them about their experience through the interview process, tried to prepare as much as I could. My experience of the interviews themselves was that they were good, interesting, challenging, broad questions. They were really trying to drill into my knowledge of the framework, but I didn't ever get the sense that they were trying to fail me or flunk me. They were very supportive. They were challenging but supportive, and really trying to tease out and understand where I was at, what my knowledge was, both in depth and breadth.
Excellent. And then, so I think it's worth noting too that after the interviews, that's where the fun starts, I guess, for us, right? So when you have a list of, in this last cycle, 18 very well qualified people, and you have to make the selections, right? We try to be as objective as we possibly can in how we select. So there's 5 aspects that people are rated on a 1 through 5 scale from each interviewer. So each individual person has 10 data points from their interviews because there's 2 interviews. And then beyond that, we have to evaluate, well, who is nominating this person? Is it a brand new organization with no sales pipeline? Like, are they going to be able to help this person complete the journey? Is it somebody that has, an SPCT or a fellow on staff, somebody that can really mentor this person and help make sure that they're successful and that we know that they can get the work to help this person succeed? Or is it somewhere in between? And then we also have to balance, well, what does our community need, right? So does this person have standard experience? Do they have experience in a unique industry? Have they worked on a very unique problem? Could they bring a unique perspective to the community? And it's hard. We try to be as objective as we can, kind of using a modified WSJF sequence. We go through and we evaluate these things with static points of reference. So for every category, we define what's a 5, what's a 1, what's a 3. So again, we try to be as objective as we can about something that is largely subjective. And then we run the formulas and we have conversations with the account managers, and then we have conversations with the regional executives. And then we have a final selection with our CEO and this guy that some of you may have heard of, Dean Leffingwell. And there's a lot that goes into figuring out who we invite. It's not just the opinion of Joe and myself. We do a lot of math. We get a lot of data, and we try to be very fair to everyone. So after all that, then comes the invitation. And Renee, do you want to kind of talk us through, what happened and what the process was like and what you did between the moment you received your invitation to attend Immersion Week and when you arrived here this past Monday?
Sure. Let me just share how I received this email. So I got this email during vacation, being in Austria in the Alps. And of course, I knew exactly when this email would come, right? On a Friday afternoon, and I was sitting there, with my coffee. And of course, I was nervous, checking all the time my emails. And then suddenly I saw it already in the title that this time actually it worked out.
It was different, right?
It was different. Already the title of the email was different. Yeah. And of course, I had to celebrate this a little bit with champagne in the evening. So this is more like the personal thing here. But of course, I've been extremely happy to do that. And then, of course, we had some kind of a kickoff meeting where we actually met all together in virtual mode, on Zoom or Google Meet. And at this point, it was really interesting to see who would actually be on this cohort. Who would actually be your colleagues. But of course, these were just 45 minutes just to meet each other. And Adam gave us a few instructions and hints about the agenda, how did it work out, what do we need to prepare. And essentially, there are 3 different things that we need to do here where we can prepare for. So first of all, this is a lightning talk. So 7 minutes where you can present something you are proud of, something you think might be interesting for the community, whatever you like to do. This is definitely something that you have quite under control because you can prepare it, right? Then there is, let's say, small test where you need to give, we need to show your training experience and how you actually would train people. So that means you get a small snippet of a leading safe, and you actually need to run this in front of your colleagues and, of course, from SPCTs.
And who else?
Who else? And Dean Levingwell, of course.
And how was that, teaching Dean's material to Dean?
Actually, I would say it didn't make me additionally nervous. So it didn't add something on the top. But of course, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it was the first time that I read really Dean in person. And of course, this is something very special to meet Dean Leffingwell, actually the father of the whole framework. And this was really, really cool. And of course, there is some kind of respect, but in the end, of course, he's also human. And it was great to see that he has a lot of empathy with us. And it was really fun. And I really enjoyed doing it.
And what was the third component?
And the third component is actually then the coaching simulation. And this is something that you, of course, don't really have under control. So that means it's a role play. So 2 of the candidates will actually play a situation that you are typically confronted with if you do some kind of agile transformation, and you will be the change agent. And this must be something I have really been a little bit concerned, nervous about it. Let's put it like this. Yeah, because for the other things you can really prepare, but for this one you don't know how does this interaction actually go. Yeah, so are you able to connect to the other people there? You don't know them before; you just met them at the kickoff meeting virtually. So would this be an interesting discussion? So all these questions, but in the end, it worked out brilliant for all of us. Yeah, and this was really fascinating to see this. So that we somehow just within this first day moved from, hey, this is me who actually needs to do this. This is me who actually wants to get successful in this process, to a kind of a teamwork approach. And to see this forming already in the first day, this was really fascinating.
It's really cool. Vanessa, will you walk us through, kind of the week, right? So we're here at the end. It's Friday. We just finished the problem solving workshop, which is the last big event in implementing SAFe. So you arrived here in Boulder Saturday, Sunday. Just kind of talk us through the week. What was it? What was the overview of the week? What were some of the things that you did? Renee kind of talked us through Monday, but if you could just kind of talk us through Sunday, how you felt on Monday, and how the rest of the week has gone.
So I think important to point out is Boulder is a very beautiful place. I'd highly recommend arriving a day in advance, either to go hiking or go skiing. I did that and I loved it. And then what was lovely on Sunday, we came together, we kind of started meeting each other. There's a dinner on Sunday evening where they took us out to meet a few people in the SAFe Institute. Very welcoming, great fun. In fact, I think it's one of the best things about this week is the people that you do it with. As Renee said, we kind of bonded early and became quite good friends and have learned a lot from each other and have been there to support each other. So every evening we're out for dinner somewhere. We've experienced some great restaurants. And then what's happening during the day, so you come in at around 7:30. We have breakfast. We start at 8. And after the Monday where you've done the things where you needed to be evaluated, we've started the Implementing SAFe course. We're kind of observing the training. We're also doing a lot more than that, answering questions on the back end through a Slack channel as people are asking them. We're supporting on the Thursday and Friday in some of the exercises, value stream mapping, INA. So it's quite engaging, and it's also an incredible learning opportunity. I must say, watching Andy, Rebecca, and Dean run this training has been incredible for me because you start to learn quite a lot more about the content, a lot more information where you can pull on it in your own experience. And then in between the day, we've had lunch with Dean a few times, quite a few coffee breaks where there are chats about how it's going for each of us and what we're struggling with, where we need a bit of help. So overall, very immersive experience, but also very full on, very tiring. You're exhausted by the time you go to bed. So we're on Friday, and I'm going to take a weekend to decompress. But it's been a lot of fun, and for me, the people have been just the best thing about it.
Well, that's great. It's good to hear that where we're at on Friday, that you all still have energy and that you're all still excited, because it is a very tiring week. So with where we go from here, right? I mean, you still have a lot to do. There's completing the requirements, and I think where some folks get hung up is they look at their requirements and they view this as a check the box activity, and they think, oh, I have all of that done. And all of that experience is important. But as you all have kind of articulated, you learn a lot this week. And, what we ask is that you have the opportunity to exercise some of the things that you've learned and some of the things that you've seen. So while some of the experiences that you've had in the past may qualify towards your certification requirements, we do ask that some of that stuff be done post immersion week so you can begin flexing those new muscles and the new things that you've learned. So there's a lot of work ahead. With 6.0, we created some new aspects to kind of reflect the work that you all do, which is transformation architecture and service as a trusted advisor as either a coach or a consultant. So there's those sorts of activities. And then there's the reading. You started to touch on this, Vanessa. There's a lot, right? It's academic. You need to understand the why behind the why. And that's one of the things that Joe and I do during the exemplars. Between every exercise, we're spending time explaining to the group why we say certain things the way that we do. Words are important, and an inadvertent misselection of words could really change how someone views what we do, right? The simple nature of SAFE recommends or SAFE suggests versus SAFE says, those subtle nuances can really change how somebody feels working in this way. So we try to make sure that we highlight those things. But let's talk about the reading. So Russell, we'll come back to you. The reading on the front end, was it something that was kind of off-putting for you? And then when you were done, does it make sense?
There's a Japanese word called sundoku. I'm probably mispronouncing it, which is the pile of unread books that you have in your house. Mine is enormous. And I have a lot of Agile and Lean books. This was a really, really great impetus for me to actually put it on my to-do list, set aside time for it, work through it, and really kickstart my knowledge to the next level by reading some books which I'd been meaning to get around to and finally got around to. And really, the reading list is not arbitrary. It's very, very well thought out, as with everything in this program. And it's intended to really, really bring some core ideas and help you understand some of the contributing thinkers to the SAFE framework. So I really enjoyed it, and I found it hugely, hugely inspiring and valuable.
I'd love to add to that, and I like the Japanese word. I've got a lot of those books. I read things I wouldn't normally have read. So I find I often read in the things I'm most interested in. And the DevOps Handbook was not something I would have picked up otherwise, but actually I found incredibly valuable.
Isn't that one interesting? You look at the title and you think, oh, this is going to be so dry. But it was actually really pretty engaging.
It was great. I used a lot of ideas from there.
So one that we added recently, one that I added recently, maybe a year ago, was one that's kind of outside the realm of framework contribution. And that was Extreme Ownership by another military guy, Jocko Willink. So Renee, I want to look at you because you haven't talked yet. What did you think of the book, and why did you think I added it?
I think it's about the passion that you need to have, right? And this is something that we definitely shared here in this cohort. I could observe this really for everybody who was here. So not only did the people who now could get SPCT candidates, but also for our SPCTs, for Dean, for everybody who supported us here, it was really about being passionate about what you do. Yeah? And to have this ownership, just to say, hey, I really want to drive things. I really want to go ahead. I really want to make an impact. This is something really necessary. This is completely independent. If you would be a consultant, or like Russell, if you would be more like an internal SPCT, it's really about this constant engagement and really having a commitment to what you want to do, that you really leave something in this world that is valuable. Yeah? So, and I think this is really important.
Well, and also it's whatever circumstances we find ourselves in, right? It's you own the outcome, right? You have to take that ownership. Hey, the interview didn't go well. What can I do to be better? This thing in my transformation, in my client engagement didn't go well. Well, maybe the person was a jerk or maybe whatever they were, but it's your responsibility to own that interaction, to meet them where they're at, and to help them achieve what it is that they're after. If you're in the classroom and you have a bad day, or it's the middle of the night, or any one of 100 things that could go wrong in that classroom, it's not about, well, yeah, but it's about you are in charge of that classroom. You take on the responsibility of the experience of everyone in that room. And we know it's not going to go right probably 9 times out of 10. But you're responsible for overcoming that and assuring the experience. And I think as people, in this SPCT role, which is absolutely a leadership role, right? The first thing that we have to do is remember that we're here to serve others and that we're responsible for the experience that others have when they're working with us. So that's the big why on that one, right? And it's definitely one that's outside the realm of safe contributing IP. But I think for this role, it's a super important perspective to take. And I know it's something that Joe and I definitely screen for when we're talking to folks is, do you take responsibility for your actions, or are you always pointing fingers at something or someone else? So with all of that said, right, we're getting ready to go back out into the world. We're going to part ways. We'll see each other hopefully in Prague. We'll see each other at a future masterclass. You all will leave here with your guides. You'll have your individually assigned guides. That relationship is pool. Whatever you need from them, that guide is there to serve you. They're not going to reach out to you and say, hey, Renee, it's been a while. But if you want to meet twice a week, if you want to meet every other week, they're there for you. So we want to leave you supported. We want to leave you feeling good. We know that you have a lot of time ahead of you, and we want you to be successful. And I really hope that you're able to rely on one another as a cohort from this point on. So with that, let's wrap things up. Russell, what are your parting words for anyone that may be listening to this and thinking about, maybe I want to give this a shot?
Yeah, I think you'll find it a transformative experience. And I would recommend it to anybody who wants to commit themselves to this way of working and bettering their knowledge and bettering themselves. It's been an amazing experience for me. Really challenging and really rewarding.
Excellent. Renee?
Yeah, I can just repeat myself. So this experience here was really outstanding, and really to have this idea that this is a team here. Yeah. So we came as individuals, and we are leaving Boulder now as a team. Yeah. And I think this is really something that will last over the next years, decades, hopefully. Yeah. So we will always remember this week here. And I actually hope that this is also the case in this larger SPCT community we will now hopefully be in. And this is something I really look forward.
Excellent. Vanessa?
If you're thinking about doing this, don't underestimate the amount of work, but it's completely worth it. And I just to reiterate what Renee is saying, it's incredible to meet such wonderful people and to know that you've got this group of people that you can talk to and rely on. It was so much more than I thought it would be. So it's been an amazing week.
Excellent. And I want to thank you all too, because you have reminded me why I like doing what I do so much. Over the last 3 years, interacting with everyone just behind a computer screen, you lose the energy. And seeing the energy that you have and how you've come together as a group and just your good vibes, that's what makes it all worthwhile. All of the hard days and the hard conversations that Joe and I have to have, this is the reason why we do it. The energy and passion that you see on the last day of an immersion week and the excitement that you see when people finally cross that line and receive that badge. That's what makes it all worthwhile, but it's all about the human interaction and just relationships. So thank you all for bringing the energy and such a great experience. Hopefully the world continues the way that it is and we don't have to ever go back to an online experience. So thank you all so much for making the trip from South Africa, and not just South Africa. Vanessa said to me, Adam, I don't want to come in December. I'm not coming until I can come face to face. And then obviously Renee came from Germany and Russell came from New Zealand. So nobody had a short trip in this one, but you all made it. It was amazing. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for listening to our show today. Be sure to check out the show notes and revisit past episodes at scaledagile.com/podcast. Relentless improvement is in our DNA, and we welcome your suggestions for the show. If you have something to share, send us an email at podcast@scaledagile.com.